We're back with another episode of Franchise My Business, the podcast for franchisors, hosted by franchisors. I'm your host, Kevin Oldham, and if you have parents that are aging, you're an adult, you're kind of that sandwich generation. You know, we talk about we have dependents at home or they're still relying on us, and then your parents start to rely on you, and you're kind of in the middle. That's something that's near and dear to my heart. I am that person. I've had to navigate a lot of challenges with aging parents and, trying to find resources and such for those aging parents. I mean, reality is you just want the best for them, right? You want the best for them. And that's why I'm super excited to have today's guest, Gavin Densmore. He is the founder and CEO of At Home ElderCare, where they're doing amazing things to help, frankly, they're helping the adult children make some great decisions for their aging parents and probably some of those aging folks as well directly. So without further ado, Gavin, welcome to the show.
Kevin, thank you for having me on this afternoon. It's awesome to be here, and I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, we were.
I'm excited to share senior care with your podcast
Audience, world. Yeah, the world, right? I love what you're up to. We've been through a scenario in our family where, we were visiting ahead of time. I'm super happy that both your parents are alive. I wish I could say the same about myself. We lost my mom in January of 2020 and went through a process, where she had some surgeries, Parkinson's and whatnot. And we were looking at options. My brother and I were looking at options to help my parents navigate the unknown, right? Because we didn't know she was going to pass away. And we looked at rehab facilities. We looked at bringing people in. We looked at all the options that were out there, and it was overwhelming. I'm not going to lie. It was super overwhelming for us. My bro and I, kind of smart people, can solve problems, but this whole landscape of elder care blew our mind. And so
totally new.
Yeah. It's hey, it's not something you need to be an expert in until you need to be an expert in it. And usually you get thrown into the deep end. It's not like a walk, it's a dive and you're there. Is that kind of what you found about, is that what you've seen around the elder care industry? It's just overwhelming.
Absolutely. It's when it's a Chinese fire drill, I always imagine the movie American Graffiti, which I'm dating myself.
That's okay. It's a good one.
The hot rods pull up to the stoplight, and everybody in the car gets out and runs around the car and then gets back in it. And that literally is like the fire drill of senior care when you realize that your family, you have mom, dad, aunt, uncle, grandma, grandpa, whatever. You show up at the holidays, and the holidays are a really telling time for us because if mom and dad are living by themselves or all the kids are out of town, they go in and they go, wow, mom didn't really recognize Billy, and that's a little startling. So maybe mom's got some dementia or some Alzheimer's.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's oh my God, what do we do? Who do we talk to? And so it is, yes, I've got aging parents. My dad's 88. Mom is just literally today is celebrating her 85th birthday. So happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday, Mom. Woo-hoo.
Happy birthday, Mom. And it's they're fall risks. They want to remain independent. They don't want to move into a facility. How do we get them help? And I've got the advantage. I've got 23 years in the industry. Average person on the street has no clue when it comes to senior care or elder care, and how do we arrange services and who do we talk to? So it can be hugely overwhelming.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's exactly what we found. We started having scary conversations too. It was strategic things, hey, do we bankrupt one parent to make it, all these scary conversations that we were having because we were looking at kind of a permanent scenario of what their new normal looked like, right? And it freaked me out. I know that we were emotionally trying to care for both parents, me specifically, because I'm here in Kansas City with them and my brother in Ohio, and just kind of going through the options. And it was overwhelming. So I'm super thankful that there's people like you in your organization that are um, helping people get the solutions that they need. So let's talk about
And
like this is your third act. This is your third act in your career. Let's hear a little bit about what you've been up to in your career and what led you to start this company. Because I think the founder's story is always like a lot of gold can be found in the founder's story.
yes. So, what has led me here? So, three careers: education first, software sales second, senior care. Honestly, yeah, Kevin, I love telling this story because it's absolutely true, and it just resonates. I my first job was, aside from my first
Uh-huh.
paycheck in this world, which I was so excited for, I actually washed dishes in the kitchen of an assisted living retirement community, ALF retirement community. I worked in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I was getting my first paycheck. Man, I thought I was the big time. So life progresses, and you realize that there is more to life than washing dishes.
Right.
And years later, I'm starting my college career. 17 years old, I end up dating my great aunt Florence's live-in caregiver, who is a nursing student in Elma College,
Hmm.
Brenda. I've dated a caregiver, and then you fast forward, to the point that I'm 59 years old, and I've spent 23 years in the senior care industry.
Hmm.
It's like, holy moly. You could have said, I'm 15 years old, Gavin, you're on a career path, and you're going to end up caring for seniors.
Right.
I'd have said,
Yeah.
I'm going to be a petroleum engineer, and I'm going to drill oil rigs all over the world. No, actually, reality is, I graduated college. I spent the first major part of my, three path career. College, I ended up selling software.
Yeah.
Sold software for the better part of probably 18 years. And my last and final career has been elder care, senior care, home care, and caring for seniors in their homes. And I've got to say, Kevin, Andy Warhol was famous for a lot of things, but one of the things he was famous for is that he said everybody gets 15 minutes of fame.
True. He also said this.
And
Look at that. You can't see it, but I have an Andy Warhol autographed, not real, pencil that says art is what you can get away with. And it's in my bag. Hey,
all right,
we're living in a computer simulation right now because you just brought up Andy Warhol, and here we go. But keep going, keep going.
so everybody gets their 15 minutes of fame,
True.
right?
Yep.
All right, as an elder care agency owner, as a senior care agency owner, we get, if you're good, right, and we only make good home care
Hmm.
agencies, great home care agencies. We get our 15 minutes of fame in the obituaries and in the eulogies. Now, that's it's not front page stuff,
Right, right.
right?
Yeah, no.
But when you are sitting at the service of a client and you've taken care of them for years, and your employees have taken care of them, and the minister or the family member is up and they're saying, the difference that Deborah and Mary and Julie made in mom's life in the last 3 or 4 years was huge, and we
Hmm.
couldn't have done it without these ladies. Kevin, you touched somebody's life.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
when I sold software, they could have gone for SAP. They could have gone for PeopleSoft or Oracle or Salesforce or whatever the software platform was. But you know what? Anybody's software is going to solve their problems for
Right.
them.
Right.
But man, I tell you, when you have Mary and Julie and June, and they've touched a person's life like that,
Yeah.
you've made a difference.
Yeah.
And that is the most rewarding aspect of this whole job.
Ladies and gentlemen,
So,
if you're not watching on video right now and you can see Gavin's body language getting hyped up around this, like legit, he is in the zone and this makes him happy and of value to others. So it's really cool to see you like come alive around this.
Thanks. I am pretty passionate about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm with you. Like, it's like, if you're a cog in a corporate machine or something, you can't see the output of your work. Like my brother went through this. He was a lifer at Procter and Gamble, and now he's working for
Sure.
I'd say an early stage company, something that's under $100 million, and he's their chief operating officer. He gets to see the
Sure.
impact that he makes, and so now his career feels rewarding, right? Would it be more rewarding if he was helping like elder people or something like that? Probably. But when you can see like you're improving people's lives at a personal level, I feel like that's like the most rewarding thing that we can do to be of service to others, you know?
I think, yeah, I called it we've always heard that saying, it's a win-win scenario,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
Well, in this case, it's being a senior care agency owner and caring for our aging population.
Yeah.
And Tom Brokaw got it right. It truly is the greatest generation. I mean, don't be confused about that.
I
This
know.
this
They're
this
really
group that is
cool,
all.
amazing. Yep. They've been through a lot, World War and a bunch of other things. I mean, a lot of change, right?
Yes, but we have actually, Kevin, a win-win-win situation. The client is staying at home safely where they want to be because
Hmm.
nobody wants to go into a nursing home.
Right.
You read the Wall Street Journal, nursing home admissions are down because they can't find employees. The employees don't want to go to work there because that's where COVID got started, and 150,000 seniors died in nursing homes. They don't want to go to nursing. They want to stay at home. They want to age in place.
Yeah.
The client wins. The employee has a steady, reliable paycheck. We're taking them, we're putting them to work, we're giving them a loving, rewarding career. They've got a reliable paycheck that they can count on in today's
Hmm.
economy.
Yep.
The employee wins. The agency owner, myself in the past, my franchisees, other home care agency owners out there are making a fair and reasonable profit.
Hmm.
It's a win-win-win situation. The
Yeah.
business owner wins, the employee wins, and most importantly, the client is safe at home where they want to be. So
That's
yeah,
beautiful.
is a business to get into, and I know you do podcasts for all sorts of franchises.
Hmm. Yeah.
I'm a little surprised. I think senior care is a great industry to be in.
It's a huge one. It's a huge one. It's a door that you and I both looked at from a trend perspective. I looked at when I was starting my entrepreneurial career like 8 years ago. It was one of those areas that I looked at because we all have read the headlines on how many baby boomers there are transitioning into, they're going to need different care options. There is a generational switch that's happening here that's pretty massive, and there's not enough resources for all of these folks, is what we found. And so it's really cool that you've created yet another resource. I have a question
One,
for you.
well,
Oh, go ahead.
yes,
Well, I was going to say, are you
one
an accidental franchisor or an intentional franchisor? Because usually it's either intentional or you fall into it.
intentional.
Yeah.
Um, we, I started my senior care career 23 years ago, caring for seniors in their homes. 8 years into it, our licensing. I'm in North Carolina for your
Hmm.
podcast, folks. Raleigh, North Carolina. North Carolina is a state that requires a home care agency to be licensed.
Okay.
And our licensing division approached me and said, Gavin, we have this mandatory class that new home care agency owners have to take. Would you be interested in teaching it for us?
Mm.
I thought, sure, why not? Yeah, I'm game for anything. So, send us the syllabus over. I'll run it past my nurse. We'll see if we can put together a curriculum and that you guys will agree to.
Hmm.
So, for the past 15 years, prior to actually even starting the franchise, we've been putting people in business from a consulting perspective for the past 15 years.
Hmm.
And we have trained, we had a 5-day training that we offered. Come in, train you up, we'll ship you back to your respective city and state, Kansas City,
Hmm.
Oakland County, California, Boston, lots of folks in Boston, Chicago, Detroit, Tampa, Florida, all over the United States. We've trained over 100 agencies. So, had my own agency, and then we were doing this training component, so that's a whole separate business.
Right.
And sadly enough, went through a divorce about 5 years ago. Turns out, and this is probably TMI, so we're gonna abridge this version. But my ex-wife ended up with the home care agency I started from scratch.
Yeah.
And God bless her, because it was over $1 million a year. It was putting off $250,000 to us, and she's got to put food on the table for the babies.
Yep.
And not only had she had 6 years of experience at it, working in the agency with us, but I had put my mother-in-law in business back in 2003.
Okay.
And she had 10 years, ex-mother-in-law, she had 10 years of home care agency owner experience. So I figure, the ex taking over the agency, not only is it going to provide her income, but it's a job that she can do. And my ex-mother-in-law can coach her through it, right?
Yeah. It's a good win if you got to,
It's a no-lose.
Yeah.
I got to reinvent myself, Kevin.
Meanwhile, you get to go do some other stuff, right? What's your next act? Yeah.
Well, yeah. So what's my next act? And it's like, well, okay. So I ran a home care agency for 18 years. I eat, sleep, and breathe caring for seniors in their homes. I know it, and we do it really well.
Yeah.
I love the teaching aspect of it. My father is a retired professor.
Oh, okay.
Of marketing. I would have loved to have gone down the professorship path, except for that thing called a dissertation. I hate writing. I don't want to write a dissertation because they're like small books, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
But so what have I found? I found this niche where I get to train, coach, mentor, put people in business, and better yet, make them a success. And I don't have to write a dissertation on it.
It's beautiful, right?
It's cool. Yeah, so we get divorced. I got to sign a non-compete. I got to do something new. What do I love doing? Well, I love training. I love teaching. I've never done a franchise before.
Yeah.
Let's got the money. Let's start a franchise.
Yeah.
Are we late to the game? You know what? I can go down that argument all day long with people. Did we miss the big rush to senior care? Well, Home Instead Senior Care, as we discussed 23 years ago, I talked to them about buying a franchise. Probably should have. So there are senior care businesses, franchisors, that have been in this business forever.
Absolutely, yeah.
And they've done a lot to, kudos to them for educating the consumer about what we do.
Yeah.
So you go to a cocktail party and people go, well, it's the typical cocktail party conversation. You're having a drink or mingle. Well, what do you do, Kevin? And Kevin goes, well, I'm a senior care agency owner. And the person goes, oh, you mean like visiting angels? Well, yes. And why do they know visiting angels? Because visiting angels have spent gazillions of dollars on television advertisements over the past 15 years. They've educated the nation on this is what senior care is. So, yeah, I mean, with the fact that 1 out of 5 individuals is going to be 65 and older by 2030. That is 7 years from now. And ironically, guess who's going to hit that magic number in 7 years?
The guy that I'm interviewing today.
20% of the population, Kevin, is going to be 65 and over. That is
a
scary. I call it the silver tsunami. And I like to think
I like that. I've never heard of that.
Well, I've seen
but
it
you're
in
right.
print now. And
silver tsunami. I mean, it makes sense. It's like, hey, we've got all these aging folks that are, hitting this certain milestone at the same time because of, they're baby boomers, right? Yeah.
So that's how I got into the business. I still love it to this day, and I'm gonna retire out of it. And I don't see quitting anytime soon. I mean, people. The minute you stop moving, The
Yep.
minute you stop working, I think you start dying.
I know.
So
I've seen it.
I do not intend to die anytime soon.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that it's kind of weird. Like it's almost when I look at scenarios play out, it's almost like, particularly if you're a male, because a lot of men associate their identity with what they do. Females just inherently are better at shutting that off. A lot of them are. I'm making generalizations here, but my wife, for example, she's really good at disassociating her identity with what she does. A lot of guys, it's like if they stop working, they lose their identity. And if they don't have something to fill the gap, hobbies, some sort of way to keep their mind busy, you literally do see people die. And I think it's because they die of a lack of purpose and meaning and depression and all of those things. And so I'd encourage you to keep. My wife says, Oldham, you better keep tinkering, and she knows they'll always tinker with business, right? No matter what it is. If I'm like my dad, he's 80 years old and he is a lifetime learner. He's in the longevity hobby. He wants to live as long as he can, and it consumes his time because he's a researcher by nature. So it's like, boom, keeping him engaged, keeping him mentally stimulated, giving him something to live for and learn for. And that's really what the key is to a life well lived. I want to talk about your franchise journey. You've got 6 locations.
Mhm.
What has been the biggest obstacle for you so far in your franchising journey? Like, what's been the biggest thing that you're like, oh my gosh, we didn't see that coming? And wow, if somebody would have shared that with me ahead of time, it would have, maybe saved yourself from some gray hairs or sleepless nights.
Franchise sales development, Kevin. Bar
Yeah,
none.
yeah.
So I can. I've spent my life in sales, my whole career in sales. I sold Bloomberg LP, $36 million worth of software and
Yeah,
service. I've
yeah.
sold the Washington Post. I've sold little software packages. I've sold big software. I've 18 years. I've convinced family members to allow my family and my crew to care for their family members.
hmm
I'm familiar with sales.
Yeah,
Finding good, qualified franchise candidates
hmm
is. I said when I went through the divorce and I wanted to start something new I never
yeah,
experienced, start a franchise. Well, if I'd have known franchise sales was going to be such a challenge,
hmm
that's fortunately I'm an optimistic person, so I wake up
yeah.
every morning and look at how am I going to tackle this beast,
Uh-huh.
and we are showing great growth.
Yep.
We have a new franchise training week coming up, the week of December 11th. We're putting 3 new franchisees through it, so we're about to go from 6 up to 9 or
Awesome.
8. Yeah, so we're adding to the growth. I'd like to put 4 people through, and tomorrow I've got a Zoom meeting with someone local here.
hmm Yeah.
Yeah, no
A
question
little bit
about
more
it.
challenging
Sales.
than you thought, right? Selling, and this is the thing that I tell people. I use this example all the time, and you're a great example because you're a coach. You like to pour into people. I can tell that. But the number one thing that I tell people when they're thinking about going into franchising, because I've seen it happen, and it burned me financially because I did like a pay for performance type of incentive deal with a franchise system based on what they produced. And then we helped them sell 15 units. And then the franchisor was like, yeah, I don't want to quote babysit, right? Franchisees. And I'm like, well, hold on. Babysit's the wrong word. Babysit's the wrong word, first of all. But secondly, you didn't just think you could take their money and not support them. Like you have to support them. And so what I always tell people is I say, you're getting ready to take, and I use the bakery as an example. I said, you might make the best snickerdoodles on planet Earth. And I love snickerdoodles. And Kevin Oldham has said they're the best, which means they're the best.
All
But
right.
when you decide that you're going to flip your metaphorical hat, so I've got a hat on right now, it's forward, I'm the baker. I'm going to flip it around, and now I am a franchisor whose job is to help other people seize a business opportunity, be successful with the business opportunity, and mentor them. It's a completely different ball game than baking cookies
Making
and selling
snickerdoodles.
cookies,
Yeah.
right? And so it's cool that you shared that because for listeners, there's ways to accomplish this, and we've just done this with our franchise organization as well. We've partnered with an organization that is helping us with franchise development. There's resources that are available. So if you're a franchisor that is kind of the thing that you're stuck on, know that there are organizations you can partner with. There's like kind of little VCs as well that are making investments in companies. Like there's a lot of what I'm finding is that there's a lot of people that have been there with these global brands that we recognize, and now they've got this altruistic, plus they want to make money, don't get me wrong, but component where they want to help incubate and accelerate the development of other franchise systems. And that's a lot like what business should be like, right? It's like, hey, once you've learned something, it's like my martial arts practice. I test for my black belt in 45 days. I'm now mentoring color belts. I am a leader. I'm not getting paid. I am doing it because it is the right thing. That's what you do, right? And so I think it's really cool that in the franchise space, that if this is a barrier, and you and I can talk offline and maybe I can help you solve this problem, but that franchise development and identifying the best franchisees and getting them integrated into your organization is something that can be solved. Nothing's solved for free, though. That's the thing, right?
Yeah, money is what's the old expression? Money is cheap. Takes no talk is cheap. It takes money to buy whiskey. So yes, if talk is cheap,
Yes,
it takes
sir.
money to buy whiskey. If you want my expertise, you got to pay for it. I'm
Yeah.
totally, utterly get that. I think that why we held off so long in franchising, Kevin, and I'd like to make this point. There are a lot of franchisors out there that will run a business for a year and go, you know what? I'm going to franchise this thing.
Yeah.
And so they start selling franchises a year after developing the concept.
Yep.
I don't think that, I will say this. After 23 years of being in the senior care market,
Yep.
I would like to think that we've crossed every bridge there is to cross. I'm not going to say that, though, because there's always something else waiting out there for you
There
to
it
jump up
is.
and bite you.
Yep.
You thought you knew everything? Well, look at this. But what I will
You'll get
say,
humbled real quick as soon as you think you know everything, right? So
but
remain ignorant outwardly.
we're not a flash in the pan that did this for a year and said, oh, we're going to sell franchises. We actually approached opposite approach. We ran our home care. I ran a home care agency for 18 years before I decided I was going to start franchising it.
Yeah.
So I'm not, I'm not a charlatan that says, oh yeah, you can get in this business and make a ton of money, and then you don't know what, fun story. This is a fun story.
I like fun stories.
And
Let's go.
I do too. So I'm sitting, this is about 8 years ago. I'm sitting in my bank parking lot in the car, and my phone rings. And first piece of advice for any business owner: if your phone rings, pick the damn thing up, because it could be.
Yes,
You're
sir.
going to get a voicemail. So I pick it up and I go, "Hi, good afternoon, Gavin Densmore, Helping Hands of America Home Care Seminars. How can I help you?" And she says, "Gavin, my name is Sue." And I said, "Well, Sue, how are you doing? I see you're calling from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Do you have a family member that lives in Raleigh?" And she goes, "No, but I just got done watching your YouTube video for sales and marketing. And I want to take your sales and marketing training." And I said, "Well, Sue, I would love to teach you that." A little aside, I spent time in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, so I'm familiar with it. Dad taught at University of Alabama, the marketing department. I was a little kid, blah, blah, blah. So Sue, I'm talking to Sue, and I said, "Sue, what agency are you with?" And she said, "Well, we're with Griswold Home Care." I said, "Well, Sue, I'm a little confused. Griswold is a franchise. Our sales training is $1,500. It's a day-long sales training, $1,500. I'm a little confused because Griswold, being a franchise, should support you in your sales effort,
Right.
and they should teach you everything there is to know about selling." And she said, "Well, Gavin, you know what we've discovered is that they're really good at selling franchises, but they don't know how to sell senior care to families."
Yeah.
Oh my God, Wow, I'm floored. Well, Sue, I would love to help
Are
you.
you acting like Yoda right now?
Nah, that was the Cookie Monster.
Okay, hold on. I got my Yoda.
Nah,
Me no do
Gavin,
you know
I would
her?
like to think you kind of get a Yoda there.
Me,
Oh,
me,
you're doing your Yoda.
me no do you know her?
We got Cookie Monster
So,
and Yoda on today's show, ladies and gentlemen.
only here, only on the Kevin Oldham
That's right.
franchising your business.
That's right.
So Sue comes up, goes through sales training. She brings her buddy out of Birmingham, Alabama up with him, Bob. So Sue and Bob come up. We put them through training, take their money, deliver the goods. They give us 10 out of 10 because we always pre-survey and post-survey our trainees. So we got a great 98.8% success rate. She goes back and reps us to the whole Griswold franchise. It says, you need to get this guy in to teach sales and marketing. So, what a flattering. So, I think there are franchisors out there that will franchise you a concept, and they don't really actually know their butt from a hole in the ground.
Yeah.
We didn't know. We actually have been in the trenches. We've eaten wet, soggy food. We've gotten rained on. We've been standing in the mud with everybody else. We know it.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what differentiates us from the competition is the fact that we actually bring the goods to the table.
I love it.
So,
I love it. Well, this is awesome. I feel like
Yoda out of it. That's pretty cool too.
yeah, no, for sure. And this is awesome. I feel like we can continue for another 30 minutes, but we always kind of wrap up the show and we're kind of there now. So like if people want to learn more about you and or your organization, where's the best place for them to go to connect with Gavin and or At Home ElderCare?
I would certainly send it out to our website, which is athomec.com.
There you go.
It's got 2 E's and a C on the end.
Perfect.
Or my email. Oh, heavens. My email would be Gavin at homec.com.
Beautiful.
And
if you're driving, we'll drop those in the show notes so you don't. If you're
pick up the phone, call me. My number is 919-632-8891. We'll get you an 800 number as well. But
there you go. And we'll drop all that contact information in the show notes because we know a lot of times people are listening while they're in motion, and we don't want anybody stopping and taking notes. But we got Gavin's phone number, email, his web address in the show notes, and so go check him out. Gavin, thanks for taking time out of your day to visit with our audience and with me. I appreciate it.
Kevin, you crushed the Yoda imitation, and this was so much fun. I mean, God, the fact that you get to touch people's lives on a daily basis like this through your podcast, this is so cool.
Yeah.
And I am so flattered to have been able to have spent, the past half hour, 40 minutes with you. This is cool.
Likewise. Me too. So thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I just have 2 asks. If you're a regular listener, you know what they are. Number 1, smash the subscribe button. Number 2, go to the platform you're listening to the show on and give us a review. If it's 1 star, it's 1 star. Give us some comments. If it's 3, it's 3. If it's 5, it's 5. We want your honest feedback. Until next time, I'm your host, Kevin Oldham. I hope that you have a phenomenal week and be well.